This is Texas Tech University.
Tonight on 24 Frames, we confess our love for pizza. We'll sit down with songwriter Kimmie Rhodes. Some local home brewers explore the art of beer, and Junior Vasquez plays in our South Plains sessions. Don't go anywhere. 24 Frames starts right now.
What I love about pizza is the fact that you can never have too many toppings. You can never have a weird topping.
It's kind of breeds that community, that kind of involvement that you want in a group dynamic where people are sitting around having fun.
It's an age-old food. It's been around for forever and ever. I mean, and you look at it this way, something that you can eat hot, cold, after a beer, with a beer, because of a beer. It never gets old.
If you think about most restaurants, you go in and you order an entree per person. And you know, there's very few restaurants in which you kind of get to turn your best friend onto your favorite pie and vice versa. You can put half and half, you can do all kinds of different topping combinations. Almost every time you come in here and eat, you can have a different experience. You know, you may go to a steak place and that's all you ever get is the same steak that you get every single time you go.
I take suggestions from a lot of clientele just because that's who we're feeding. I mean, those are the people that we want to make happy. So if they have something that they think will work, try it. We do a peanut butter and jelly pizza here. We do the Elvis. It's peanut butter, banana, bacon, honey. I mean, we've done some pretty wild stuff. We do a Boss Hog, which is pulled pork, bacon, Canadian bacon. Anything that plays off of a sandwich, you can put it into pizza form. Anything that plays off of a, Mexican food, tacos, stuff like that, you can put that in pizza form. You can transform a pizza into just about anything.
I've kind of gone back to an old phrase that I grew up knowing since I was a kid, and it was a Latin proverb, and it goes like this. It's de gustibus non est disputandum, and it means of taste there's no dispute. If somebody likes it and they get a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling from the experience, then you've won. Is it the dough? Is it the sauce? I honestly believe it's a major combination of everything, from the dough, from the sauce, to all the fresh ingredients that we serve, all the way to how we treat the guests at the end of the day. But you got to start with a good product, and we do have that. We've got a very simple recipe for our dough, and man, it goes well on a salad. It goes well as an appetizer, and it forms the basis of everything we do here. And then you go from there, and we put the best pizza sauce together that I've ever come across. It's a chunky tomato sauce, and it's something that you don't see in this part of the country at all. Those two combinations right there are the start of it. That's a foundation, but I don't think you can have one without the other.
We care about our food and our pizza so much that everything we have is fresh, from the start of the dough to every topping that we have. I mean, granted, your pepperoni and your sausage and stuff like that, it'll come in, but everything else is completely fresh, scratch made every day. We cut veggies fresh every day. Nothing comes out of a bag. I come up with a lot of it, but I leave a lot of it to my staff's imagination. Hey man, if you've got a great idea, something that you think would sell, let's put it, let's try it. And we've had several that come up, like we do the Thai curry chicken basil. which is it's a Thai curry based sauce and chicken and basil. And you know, that one, we started out just running it as a special. We do a daily special every once in a while. But we had people coming back just begging for it and asking for it. It's a full-time pizza on the menu now, you know, like it's just something that worked. I'm always open to suggestions because therefore everybody's in on this. You know, with the Capital, it's not just my ideas or something I got off the internet, man. It's a group effort as to making Capital Pizza better.
Oh, I think as any young college kid coming out, trying to figure out what they want to do, they kind of fall back on some of the things they love most. And man, I love food. I grew up just traveling all over the country, family all over the country, visiting people, and I just got into food. And wasn't much of a culinarian or anything, but I happened upon a good recipe in Denver, Colorado, and decided this is where I wanted to stake my claim.
My dad started selling cars. He didn't have enough money to have his own car dealership, so he had been an orphan when he was 7 years old, and he didn't really know how to be a father, really. So he looked at me, I think, and said, to be a good father to her, what I really need to do is figure out how would she survive if the same thing happened to her. So he started teaching me to sing. And he would take me around to the different car dealerships, which were actually, the front of them was a car dealership, and back in the office they were actually places where they were making bets. I would sing songs and they would give me dimes, and he'd be back in the back taking football bets. We sang in church. My father sang and my brother sang with me. We had a little trio, gospel trio, and my job was to kind of front the trio. My dad was always kind of shoving me out front and wanting me to sing. And he was right. It did become the way that I made it through the world and survived.
It blows me round and round when you are near. Just one love that shines for me, shines a light that I can see. Just one love shines for me.
My relationship with Willie Nelson began, I was introduced to him. A legendary steel guitar player, Jimmy Day, had a band, and I was playing in Jimmy Day's band. Sort of met Willie there, and then I was formally introduced to him one day when we went out to look at his studio in Austin. It was an invitation-only studio, and Willie just honed right in on me. They took me out to the golf course, and it was great because Willie just made a great drive, and then he turned around and I was standing in front of him, and he just looked right into my soul, and he asked me, "How long have you been singing?" And I said, "Since I was 6 years old." And he said, "Do you write?" And I said, "Yes." And then we'd been joking because I didn't have a record deal earlier in the day about who my distributor was, and my manager had said God. And so he asked me the question, and I just sort of looked at him, and somebody said, "Tell him," and I said, "God." And we all had a laugh about that, and he said, "Well, why don't you just come out here and make a record?" Within a couple of weeks, we were back with the band, and I recorded my first record, Kimmie Rhodes and the Jackalope Brothers, at Willie Nelson's studio, and then he became aware of my songs, particularly, interestingly, here since we're in love, a song that I wrote about the house I grew up in at 27th and Avenue Q called I Just Drove By.
There it is, just like it was, a house where there was always love. I just drove by to see if things had changed.
He really related to that song, and a lot of people did, and that song really caught his attention, and he asked me to record that and another song, Just One Love, with him, and it was a record that Grady Martin was producing, and so we recorded that, and I ended up singing all over the whole record. It was his record, and it came out. And then one day I went to visit him and at his western town near where I live, and he walked up to me and said, "You want to record a duet record as soon as Christmas is over?" And I said, "Sure." And so we just sat down and recorded a handful of songs, and one of the songs we recorded was a Tom Waits song called Picture in a Frame, so we made that the title track.
In a world.
My dad was the cool dad who would buy beer for the underage, minors that were wanting to drink. So So I'd go out there with him. The payback was I had to go through the cotton fields. He'd say, I need to go check on my crops. Now, my dad wasn't a farmer, but if you're making bets and selling cars, the farmers need to be doing well. So he'd call it his crops. But he would make me drive through the cotton fields with him for a long time listening to the radio. And he'd play George Jones and, you know, whatever came on. There was great music across the dial in every genre in those days. And he'd say, listen to these songs, baby. These songs have real lyrics in them, and they're not just saying the same thing over and over. They really mean something. And I had no idea I was going to grow up to work with Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings. You know, my generation did eventually make a natural migration back to country music. The Stones cut Wild Horses, and you know, and then the band and Sweetheart of the Rodeo and all that stuff really caused everybody to start playing country music again. To me, country music is big because it's always been a folk music. You know, it's stories, people telling stories about their lives. Country music is a really big, open genre for a lot of different sounds to come in, but I think at the heart of it, it's people telling the story of how it feels to be a human being.
We went to Europe with my in-laws and came back to West Texas. I couldn't find the beer that I liked. Being a typical West Texan, I started making my own.
Spelled without an H was getting bored on a PV amp in 1984.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Sounds good. I love malted beer.
Did you taste the Oktoberfest?
That's what I got right here in Windows. So.
A couple of my roommates from college started homebrewing after we graduated. I mean, we had been out of college for 3 or 4 years at this point. They started doing it and talked, you know, we love drinking beer and we always drank craft beer and talked about it for a long time. They decided to start brewing and they tried to get me involved in it and I just, for some reason, was never interested. My brother-in-law did it for a while, still does. I guess when I moved to Lubbock, I met a couple of people in the theater department that did home brewing and I went and hung out with them a few times while they were doing it and I thought, well, this is pretty easy and you get to just make whatever kind of beer you want. So I just kind of fell into it. My wife bought me a homebrew kit, I guess 3 years ago for my birthday, something like that. Brewed a couple of batches with that, and then when Matt moved here, we started brewing together all the time, and I moved up to doing all grain brews instead of the extracts, and I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. It's a fun hobby.
Oh my God, that's awesome. It smells buttery.
When I was at Rice University, they have a bar on campus that is faculty and staff and grad student bartended. And it's a volunteer bar. So you have a 1-hour shift once a week, and they usually pay you with allowing you to have Lone Star or Ziegenbach for free. One of the other bartenders sponsored a brew competition, and I had never thought of brewing beer. And one of my students at the time brewed beer, and he was like, oh, we can do this together. I can teach you how to do it. I was like, oh, that'll be a lot of fun. So I bought the absolute base level equipment to brew this beer. And I made an all extract beer. It was in a kit. It was pretty basic. It turned out okay. It was fine. I didn't really have any issues with it. And I turned it into the competition. Of course, I didn't do very well relative to everybody else, but I wasn't the worst.
Zach called his dad about layaway plans. And Sarah told the friendly sales.
I was going to school here at Tech and I had changed majors about 5 or 6 times. Just kind of jumping around, not really figuring out what I wanted to do. And my parents asked me if I wanted to go to Germany to learn how to brew beer on a production level. And it's kind of hard to say no to that.
Well, beer has always been a social lubricant. Most of the people that brew are also foodies. They like to cook, so the two go together. It's more fun to brew with somebody watching you because they're going to get into it, be excited about it, and learn that they can do their own thing.
I got into homebrewing through my dad, really. He's been homebrewing for about 20 years now. Whenever I got old enough to drink, it's just kind of natural to pick it up and start doing it myself.
Yeah, the first one I did on my kit was I want to say it was a Shinerbach clone, but I can't really remember. It was okay, it wasn't great. It was the first attempt at anything. I mean, the first thing I ever cooked was not that great. It was, follow a recipe and do it like it says on the recipe, and hopefully it'll turn out the way you want it to, but it was okay. I think I had to force myself to drink the last of it.
I wanted to make an oatmeal pale ale, and so I ended up making this beer, and it was in color and in head and in mouthfeel and in pretty much every quality, clarity. It was the most gorgeous beer I've ever made. It was perfect. And when you tasted it, it was so bad. It was just the worst thing. It was excessively bitter, and it didn't help at all. The sugar content was really high, and I couldn't even drink it. I had to dump a lot of it out.
That's way good.
It is so good.
That's way good. I don't want to blow my own horn or anything.
It's like,
that's good beer.
It's like a blend of the two things. I mean, it is a really nice mouthfeel. It has a good mouthfeel. It's got good sugar. It's malty. It smells good. I love the way that the head on it lingers longer. Like the bubble size is really nice and small and tight. And then
I think I should make it again and just age it this time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not put as much priming sugar in.
This is better.
You never really know what's going to happen. As much as we like to try and nail it all down with exactly how much grain there is and exactly how much water and what exact temperatures we want to hit, it never really lands the way it's supposed to. So you think it's going to turn out like one thing and it winds up turning out like something completely different. Sometimes it turns out pretty much what you want it to be.
I would say relative to Jared, I experiment more. I don't mind adding a few tweaks here and there. When I get a recipe online, I look at it and go, okay, I know that this tastes like this and this tastes like this and smells, and this amount will cause it to have this kind of a flavor. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of this to get some chocolate in it. I'm gonna add a little bit more Carafe number 3, or Carafe number 3, I can't pronounce it, is probably my favorite malt because it doesn't add a lot of flavor or too much roastiness, but it takes your beer from being very light to extremely dark. It'll basically make your beer look black.
My favorite part is probably just the actual process in and of itself. It's really fun to kind of see all the different pieces come together to create the final product, the final beer, in that all the grains smell different, all the hops smell different, and it all just kind of comes together and creates this nice beer in the end.
It's all good. I enjoy the smells. It smells like baking bread, and when you put the hops in it, there's a nice green floral smell in the air, and it's pleasant.
It's definitely conducive to just hanging out because, I mean, you're making beer and everybody loves to hang out and drink beer, and it goes well with, sporting events or just what have you in general. It's very much a part of the kind of do-it-yourself culture. A lot of our customers, they'll make their own soap, or they'll make their own beard oil, or they're all very, food driven in that they like to cook and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of additional hobbies and things that go along with it that people can get together and talk about and learn from each other.
my friend Peter that got me into this here at Tech, he graduated and left, and I think I did maybe one beer between when he graduated and when Matt got here. When Matt got here, we realized that we shared the same kind of hobbies as far as home brewing goes, so we just kind of started hanging out and doing brewing stuff. It's always fun to hang out with people for 3 or 4 hours and sit around and watch fire do stuff and, you know, pour water over things. It's not really that exciting, but we do get to drink beer while we're doing it.
Sun is setting and the moon is rising. I've been looking for you. I left the gate open, I do regret it. I've been looking for you. You've been a friend and a confidant. Oh, I've been looking for you. They say that a dog is a man's best friend. Oh, I've been looking for you. But can't you hear me calling you? Can't you hear me whistling blue? Oh, I've been looking for you. Looking for you. I've been looking for you. Looking for you. I've been looking for you. I found the photo when you were a pup. Oh, I've been looking for you. The floppy ears, I knew they'd stand up. I've been looking for you. Chasing Smokey across the yard. Oh, I've been looking for you. Your tattered chew bone is still on the sidewalk. I've been looking for you. Can't you hear me calling you? Can't you hear me whistling blue? Oh, I've been looking for you. Looking for you. I've been looking for you. Looking for you. I've been looking for you. I know that I could replace you, but there'll never be another blue. Oh, blue, where are you? Can't you hear me calling you? Can't you hear me whistling blue? Oh, I've been looking for you. Looking for you. I've been looking for you. Looking for you. I've been looking for you. Oh, blue, where are you? Oh, blue, where are you? I've been looking for you. Come here, boy. Oh, Blue, where are you, my little old dog? I will be yours. If you be mine, could you be my friend? I will be yours. If you be mine, could you be my friend? Riding wagons down the street, Billy Baggins, you and me. Life was easy, we had it all. We got married and Billy got tall. I will be yours. If you be mine, could you be my friend? I will be yours. If you be mine, could you be my friend? Chasing rainbows, the pot of gold. We were doing what we were told. It was easy hanging with you. It's like my foot in a well-worn shoe. I will be yours. If you be mine, could you be my friend? I could you be my friend?